Willie D Live.
So when you're looking at these people, a lot of times we're not listening to them and looking at them in good faith. We're actually trying to pick out the glitches in them so that we don't end up following someone who's false. So that we don't end up being led down the primrose path. And then we start thinking, okay, anyway, all I'm saying is, so I get it and I understand it, but the lives of these people that I know, at least, have not been made a whole lot easier by the fact that they've dedicated their lives to pushing forward black people. I just don't know anyone. People talking about all the houses that got bought. I don't know none of that. I don't know about none of that. The people that I know, a lot of them have had to scale down significantly their public persona so they can really lead normal lives because they want to help black people.
Is any of the Black Lives Matter criticism warranted?
Yes, certainly.
What part of it?
When you're dealing with people who have the scars of being betrayed, you have got to make sure that you continue in cultural connection with them. You have got to make sure that they don't feel like in any way that their pain is being monetized. And the way other people might do it, now, and whether this is ignorance, you just don't know how to deal with having a windfall of cash, or whether it's impropriety, it's on you to continue to be authentic and continue to be in lockstep with those people. And doing it the way certain members and certain people did it at that time is just not the way. Like, it's not going to be the way. The first thing you have to do is before you put black people first, you have to put black person first. So the individual black person is how every black person, to me, that I know, I can't speak for all black people, 40 million of us, that's how they see themselves. They see themselves in, hey, you know what? If I need to get something, if I need to have something, does this person care about me? Forget about whether or not they're going to change legislation and all of that stuff like that. If somebody in East St. Louis loses their job for discrimination, y'all going to come here, like, can we rely on you? Can we trust you? And I do think that the ball was dropped, at least in appearances, by the national structure of Black Lives Matter. That all of that stuff, when it came out, and obviously everybody knows I'm talking about the buying of the houses and the, putting your family in charge of all of that stuff. Do I think it was done necessarily to exploit people? No, I don't think it was. I don't think that it was a grift from the beginning. But you have got to make sure that people don't lose faith and hope in you. Because the minute that people think that the death of a black person by the police benefits you, that it's a way for you to come up or get a deal, or it's a way for you to fatten your pockets, you're going to go into a cultural pit that you're never going to come back from.
Well, does that hold true also for the attorneys that go out there and get the money in civil lawsuits? Because, there are people who I've had to argue down that, hey, man, Ben Crump is going to get financial compensation. He can't guarantee that a cop is punished, and has to do time. His job is to go get the money. His job is not to make sure that the cop is convicted, and all of that type of stuff, even though that would be nice if he had that type of power, but that's not his lane. I mean, what do you say to that?
Ben Crump has to exist. Like, the main fight on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, right? Not the main fight, but one of the main fights is over qualified immunity. Right? And qualified immunity would be the thing. It's the issue about whether or not you can individually sue a police officer for misconduct. Forget about suing the state, the station or the precinct or whatever, right? Whether or not Officer Daniels does something, and then you can sue Officer Daniels. They don't want that because they don't think that officers can do their job if they are threatened with lawsuits for malpractice, malfeasance, or whatever. That's how powerful money is. Money is the most it is the most important thing in America. It's what America was founded on, like capitalism and all of that stuff. That type of economic power funds your military. It undergirds every decision that's made. So when Ben Crump is going out there and getting money for victims, he's actually, in my opinion, punishing the system in the way that they care most about. Like, I think the thing that they care most about is how much money they have in their coffers. The whole defunding the police thing isn't about not having a safe public. It's about reimagining public safety where the police don't get $10 billion. Maybe they get $5 billion. I think in New York, the biggest police budget, I think it's like $6 or $7 billion. Maybe they don't need $7 billion. Maybe they need $4 billion. And maybe with the extra $2 billion, we reinvest it into the community. We set up mental health facilities, and we set up all different types of things.
So we don't need them.
So we don't need them, right? What do they rail against? Having less money. Well, why do we get to have less money? We need tanks and fucking AR-15s, and we need the more police, and the police need to feel that investment. So to me, when Ben is doing what he's doing, he has to exist because making people pay, to me, is the thing that they care most about. Now, attorneys are never really going to have like a super sterling reputation with a lot of people because
they're attorneys.
They're attorneys. But to me, I choose to see the good in people, particularly black people. I think you have to have Ben. I think he's
necessary.
He's absolutely necessary. Not just Ben, but Lee Merritt, like all of these, they're absolutely necessary. You have to have them. Somebody got to pay.